Happy Monday, everybody. Sorry we're a little late, but welcome back to Brown Bag Bets. It's a special Labor Day edition of your favorite show powered by BETSPERTS, which is your daily dose of quick hit handicapping and sports betting picks. I'm Alex Christenson. We gave Andy the day off. He labors quite a bit. He also has lots of in-laws and family and kids and stuff to take care of. So brought in my pal. This is not an episode of the Net Worth Pod, but joining us from Run Pure, you probably know him from the Net Worth Podcast and all sorts of other places. He's even talking about tennis on Run Pure now, folks. This is amazing. Mr. Spread Astaire. It looks like it's nice and sunny, bright and early in California. How are things? How's it going?
Yeah, I'm up early enjoying this U.S. Open tennis. We got Belinda Bencic playing right now against Iga Swiatek, and just loads of fun tennis all day. And then the NFL starts this week, so what a great time to be a sports fan.
It is. We got a bunch of stuff. Like you said, we brought you in here. We figure we'd kind of go to our roots here. It's a Labor Day. I could try to talk about baseball. I could try to talk about college football. Do you have anything to say about baseball or college football? I got nothing.
No, I do not.
College football was fun this week. Hats off to everybody. I know a bunch of our friends did really well handicapping some stuff. The end of their football game last night was quite a bit of fun. I didn't know that college football could be that much fun. Did you enjoy that spread? Were you up watching the Notre Dame game, or were you watching tennis like a good boy?
I had both on, but I did not enjoy it because I laid the 7 with Notre Dame, and when they were up like 38-20, I was feeling pretty good about my pick, but fell apart towards the end. But that's what happens when you play home favorites in college football, right? So I should have known better.
Well, let's jump into something we do know a little bit about. Tennis, we figured we'd do kind of a check-in on the U.S. Open. There are some matches happening right now. There's a women's match on right now. Spread, is there a men's match on as well? I couldn't quite tell.
I do not think so. The first men's match will start at 12 your time, 9 my time, and that'll be Mr. Zverev versus Mr. Sinner.
All right. Thought a good way to go through this would be to touch on kind of the outrights. Yes, play is underway here, so you probably can't bet these right now. But after the matches today, they've been opening these up pretty regularly. We'll start with the men's side. Obviously Novak Djokovic still the favorite here at -160. But kind of my first question for you here, Spread. This number hasn't moved too much since the beginning of the tournament. I believe he closed kind of in this range. I think I saw somewhere around -150, maybe -155. So are you surprised that Novak's number, hasn't really moved that much? And do you have any interest in backing him at minus money in an outright market?
Actually, I still do, but I believe the reason the price hasn't moved is the play of the number 2 guy, and that's Daniil Medvedev, who's just playing some of the best tennis I've ever seen in his life. And if there's ever a chance for him to go ahead and get the upset on the big stage, it would be with this form in these conditions, the way he's playing right now. So not necessarily too surprised. I would be assuming that people are more eager to back Daniel playing the way that he is at +200 right now rather than laying juice on Novak.
Yeah, I think that is kind of the right way to go about this. As you start to look at the draw here, I just want to pull it up. Daniil Medvedev actually, I think, has a better spot. It looks like he wouldn't have to play Zverev. I just want to double check this, but I believe he's on the opposite side of the draw as Zverev, who would probably have to, play Djokovic there. Yep, yeah, Djokovic and Zverev are in the top half. So Medvedev, I mean, you look down at his bottom half. I mean, he's got the Dutchman there, and then it's Auger-Aliassime or Alcaraz. So I actually feel the best about Medvedev getting in there. I might actually play a little bit out of +200. I mean, you look at these two matches, I've got +200. It looks like he goes into the final. He won't be +200 against Djokovic. I'll have a better number than that, don't you think?
Yeah, I think you are right. You probably will get a better number. And I think one thing to keep in mind when you're playing this bet with Medvedev is it might be a weird situation where we actually see Djokovic feel pressure. He's at the point, 20 Grand Slams, right? Probably doesn't feel that much pressure for another Grand Slam. He's done it, he's won 20 of them. I don't even know how many finals he's been in, but he's probably been in, 26, 27 finals. But this is going to be, his opportunity for a calendar slam, right? Which makes it a little bit unique. Wonder if a little bit of nerves, wonder if a little pressure jumps in there for Novak, and we don't see him come out and play his best.
Yeah, it makes perfect sense. As I look down the list here a little bit, that outcome name plus 30-1, that might be interesting. I'm not sure what's going on there, but Opelka 100-1. It's just hard to see any of these guys putting it together. I mean, Opelka would have to beat Zverev and then Djokovic. This is the tough part about the men's side. I know this is one of the reasons, you and I don't necessarily love ATP as much as WTA because you see some really big numbers on here. But I mean, can you talk yourself into Berrettini? Can you talk yourself into the Canadian FAA? I know Canadians have done very well this week, but man, it's it's hard to find anybody but, Novak or Medvedev to feel really confident about.
No, if Berrettini couldn't get it done at Wimbledon, I don't see him getting done in these conditions. Same with FAA. And then when you go to the Americans, no American's really going to be able to beat Novak in my mind because he mitigates all their serves so well that he takes away their their biggest weapon. I don't want to say their only weapon, but by far, the biggest part of their arsenal. He just mitigates it so easily. I don't see any of these guys beating him. I think Medvedev and Zverev are the only ones with a shot. I don't necessarily know if I trust Zverev's mentality. I talked a little about it earlier. Now with Tsitsipas, who became the new villain of the tournament for going to the bathroom, right? Zverev might be taking some of that negative attention that we were worried he was going to receive due to all the allegations swirling around him as he's playing in this tournament.
All right. Any other thoughts here on the men's side before we jump into the ladies' draw? See who's left.
No, let's go over to the women's side. This is where it's wide open, and I could not believe that Ash Barty lost. But I mean, this is just a great opportunity for all these remaining women.
It's been a pretty, it was a slow start. I know we were talking in some of the chats. We were lamenting the fact that, through the first two rounds, seeds not only won, but won pretty comfortably. But had some shocking upsets. Shelby Rogers in 3 sets knocks off Ashley Barty, ruins one of my favorite bets I made all year. It was 43-1 spread for a Barty Krejcikova final, and I was feeling pretty good about that. But the WTA comes back. Variant sneaks its way in. I mean, that's really the biggest upset as I flip down through, Naomi Osaka finally got knocked off. Leylah Fernandez really, beaten both Osaka and Kerber was pretty fun. As you start to look at the odds here, to no surprise, Miss Sabalenka there, the favorite at plus 200, but she has to play Barbara Krejcikova in this round. Krejcikova plus 850 on her. I was on her before the tournament at a little better number. I don't mind that plus 850, and we get to some of the single matches. I backed her to beat Sabalenka. As I look at some of those other numbers, Svitolina 5-1. We always know at some point she runs into somebody that just is better than she can overcome from kind of a fitness and mental acuity standpoint. Pliskova 6.5-1. I know our buddy Mug in one chat was talking about liking Pliskova. I don't know if I'm ready to back Pliskova. The one that has gotten the most chatter spread, Miss Andreescu, the Mississaugan Mammoth, BVA as I like to call her, 13-1, and you can find some bigger numbers out there. But what were your sort of reactions as you were taking a look at this list? Is there any numbers of value here to you?
Yeah, you mentioned it. Bianca Andreescu, 13-1 for a woman who's never lost a main draw match at the U.S. Open. Sign me up. We talked about Svitolina, right? And actually, this draw opens up pretty well for her, as she really struggles with players that can hit them off. These power players are kind of dropping left and right? I mean, obviously, Sabalenka is going to give her problems. Pliskova can give her problems, right? Krejcikova and Swiatek can dial it up, but they're not necessarily power players. They will play both. They're kind of offense-defense balance players. Here, Andreescu can blow her away, but, then we go to Bencic, Raducanu, Fernandez, Pavlyuchenkova. There's a lot of players that play her style. And one thing that Svitolina does is play her style better than anyone else plays her style. So, talk about an opportunity for Alina to break through. But really, the value lies on Bianca Andreescu, 13-1. She won here 2 years ago. Like I said, she's never lost a main draw match here. She didn't even enter the tournament last year. So I don't see how the way that she's playing right now, you can ignore that number at 13-1. Like I said, Svitolina I think's got a great chance as well. But I'm getting another $8 worth of value here. Give me Bianca Andreescu.
Yeah, that price really sticks out to me. And hunt around a little bit. These are some numbers I pulled from a few places. Our folks at WinBet had pulled these down since the women's match had started. Again, these should reopen tonight, and I know you can do a little better than that. So poke around for an Andreescu number later. I think that's a pretty good idea. I do think people are sleeping on Swiatek a little bit. And I do like Krejcikova, but I think the play there is, back her in this match against Sabalenka. I think you'll be able to do better there. But I will be hunting for some Andreescu numbers later. So you like Andreescu there. Is she your pick to win the tournament now? I mean, for me, it's the winner of Sabalenka Krejcikova, and I think it's going to be Krejcikova. But are you taking Andreescu to win?
Yeah, I am. I mean, she's just been playing beautifully. I think the only thing that can beat her now is injuries. And of what I've seen so far, she's got a day off in between matches. I think her body can hold up for the rest of the fortnight. And if she does, she's the best player. In 2019, we thought that she was going to be the best player on hard courts. Like, we considered her to be better than Naomi Osaka, in that peak form. So I'll take Andreescu here on the hard courts.
Yeah, I think so too. I mean, again, I think it's the winner is Sabalenka Krejcikova, and as a Krejcikova investor, I might be a little too ahead of myself here. But I like Andreescu there. Any other thoughts on the outrights here before we jump into some of your single match picks?
Yeah, are you worried at all about and we talked about it a little beforehand, the match timeout situation there with Krejcikova?
It's much that's been made of it, and we did see this. For those of you that are following the men's side, there was much made of a bathroom break by Mr. Sitapa. I don't love it. It's not a great look during the middle of a set to suddenly walk off court, take a 10-minute break, and I'm not saying that these people are making this up, that they don't have to go to the bathroom, but as someone that's played sports, there is, kind of that unwritten rule, that unwritten code, if you will, of sportsmanship. You're expected to have some sort of respect for each other, some sort of general rapport with the athletes, some sort of unwritten rules you're supposed to follow. And again, walking off the court during the middle of a set seems a little odd to me. And I know that you've played a lot more tennis in your life, Spread, not only because you're a million years old, but because you play tennis. I mean, how did you guys approach stuff like that? I mean, if you're in the middle of a match, would people actually take breaks like this? I mean, would you guys sort of complain about it? Like, I know, for example, like if you're playing pickup basketball and you started doing some stuff like this, we just wouldn't have you play with us anymore. So what were kind of your thoughts? That's what I was curious about. As a tennis player, as someone that is more familiar with the game, does it seem odd to you? And I know it's tough to have a solution. We can't tell people not to take MTOs and stuff like that, because then you're possibly going to have injured players and things like that. But what is kind of the general etiquette, I guess, for some of us who haven't played tennis as much? And what were your thoughts from that standpoint?
Yeah, when I played it, it was only in between sets. I mean, that was a long time ago, and obviously the stakes were much lower here. But there does seem to be a certain amount of gamesmanship involved in it. And I was thinking about this morning, before we started up. Has it actually gotten worse, or is it because of social media and the fact that we're so much more aware of it, and the idea that if I show, if I put up a GIF of this shot that Swiatek just made, which was a beautiful shot to move her to 3-4, right? It'd probably get a little bit of interaction, but I know that video of Muguruza calling Krejcikova unprofessional at the net yesterday. I mean, that goes viral, right? So there's also incentive. We're being incentivized to see it as consumers and as content providers or promoters, right? They're getting incentive to go ahead and put it out there more. So I'm wondering if this actually is occurring more, or if we're just having more attention brought to it. That being said, we talked about it. I don't really know what the solution is.
I think you have to have some sort of rules about when you can do it. If you're hurt, I'm not one to tell them to stop a match, but you would like to think that they'd force you at least wait till a set. If you're hurt so badly you have to stop, then maybe you shouldn't be out there altogether. Maybe that's kind of the line you draw. You can do stuff in between sets. I mean, the bathroom break stuff, that has to be in between sets. Like, yeah, unless, you're kind of going on yourself on court, if you will, to try to say it as nicely as possible. Like, wait, we're adults. We can all hold it. And a question here from our buddy Zane. We talked a little bit about Krejcikova and kind of her injury. I don't know. Did it look? I haven't read anything specific about what may or may not have been heard about her. We were watching the match. It looked kind of like a heat stroke thing to me, that maybe she was kind of a little bit overcooked and needed a break to get some fluids and stuff. But I didn't see any visible injury. And then when she came back on court, she looked fine. I mean, held the next game pretty comfortably and looked about as smooth as you could in that tiebreaker. So. Did you have any concerns about her injury? We know she gets a day off at least, so I'm not too worried, I guess.
Yeah, I don't know if I would be either, because it didn't seem to be like a nagging style injury. Like she said, it was dizziness, and she had an upset stomach. So definitely heat related symptoms. Maybe it'd be interesting to see the time. I don't think they have the time for that one tomorrow yet, do they?
No, they don't. They'll release that later, so we'll see. But I'm not too concerned. But let's jump into some picks. We've got some for today, some for tomorrow. These first three spread are yours, although we do share the second one. We'll start with Miss Belinda Bencic here. She is an underdog playing Iga Swiatek. I think that's the second or third matchup today.
No, it's on right now.
Oh, it's on right now.
It's already started. Yeah.
That's good. So, well, I was thinking of betting Swiatek. How's it going, Spread? I mean, is your Belinda Bencic looking good?
Belinda's up a break right now in the first set. playing really well, to be honest, but Iga's definitely holding her own. And as we've seen in the WTA, right, winning the first set, I'm sure victory chances by about 7%. So even if she is able to serve this set out, doesn't necessarily mean that I'll feel like the bet is home. But very excited about the way she's playing. She's being aggressive on her first serve. I don't know the exact numbers on me, but just watching it seems like she's getting at least 70% in. And that's a big key for her because we know in the WTA, the main difference between the WTA and the ATP, in the ATP, the men still have the advantage on the second serve. In the WTA, it's the exact opposite. Once the second serve comes, the returner actually has the advantage and gains the court position advantage on the point. So it's good to see Belinda out here playing well, and I'm feeling pretty good about the play.
Yeah, I agree with that. And apologies to Zane Swiatek. I'm not as good at pronouncing these names as I should be. I probably don't try. Zane is quite a big help there. I was thinking about backing Iga here. I think she's just generally the better player. I like backing Bencic, though, and I can't blame you for backing her plus money. So it looks like that started nicely there. I'll be sure to turn that on once we finish. Bianca, Vanessa Andreescu, the Mississaugan Mammoth, the hope and prayers of Canadian tennis, as I like to build her up as. I like this number. You like this number. Why is she an underdog?
Because if anyone's going to question the fitness of Bianca Andreescu, it's the fighting spirit of Maria Sakkari, right? I know you were out there last week, right? Had some fun checking all your pictures out there on court, and you saw it firsthand, right? How much of a grinder is, how much effort she puts out there, and how she's really not afraid to get into extended rallies. So with her form, and she's improved her serve well. A lot of the women improved their serve over the COVID break, and Sakkari is definitely one of them. But still, I still think that, you talked about Iga being the better player than Belinda. Bianca is a much better player. She has much better offensive abilities. This is one of the few times where I don't believe that Sakkari will have like a huge quickness advantage here. And then mentally, if it gets to be a tough match, especially a 3-set match, I really think that Bianca's experience and fortitude will pull it through. Still have a little questions about Sakkari and her tendency to fold sometimes in really big spots.
Yeah, that makes absolute perfect sense to me. I like what you said about Sakkari kind of having the fitness, if you will, to overwhelm her. And it was one of the things I noticed. Honestly, folks, if you get a chance to go see Maria Sakkari, just go watch her serve. She bends over and she bounces the ball. Her back is just, it's terrifying. I've never seen that many muscles anywhere on anybody before. It's unbelievable. She's really impressive to watch, and the level of effort and the way she grinds is really fantastic. But Andreescu's been looking better and better each match, and she's kind of gaining strength as she's going along. And that's one of the big parts about these Grand Slams. You get the day off in between, and that helps. We'll switch over to the last match that we have today we wanted to touch on. This is on the men's side. Riley Opelka, the American, playing Lloyd George Harris from South Africa. I was surprised to see Opelka as a dog in this match, and I guess you were too, huh?
Yeah, and I'll tell you what, this was really a tough pick to make when you look at the way that Lloyd Harris has been playing. I mean, just fantastic, right? I mean, to be Shapovalov wasn't a surprise, but to do so in straight sets, I mean, just what a beautiful victory. Of course, you guys know I like Khachanov, so I have to rate that victory highly. And then Escobedo, right? I actually have to rate it a little higher than Kwan, Musetti, and then Basilashvili. The victory is on Opelka's side. But here, I'm getting plus money, and what we know about this, what it's going to probably come down to is just tie breaks. And I do think that Riley has the best return game out of all the young Americans. Maybe Brooksby, now that he's on the scene, can make a claim to take that away here. But of all the really big serving Americans, Opelka definitely has one. I do think that will go to his advantage in the tie breaks. This is a tough match, though. It's a coin flip, and it's going to cut, it's so weird sometimes when you watch these ATP matches like this, right? Because the tie breaks are so tense, and the beginning of the set just almost feels like, oh, we got about a half hour to tell the tension again, almost like a good orchestra, right? That builds up to a crescendo and then comes back down, and you're waiting for it to build back up again. But I do like Opelka to get it done here, and the plus money I just couldn't resist.
Yeah, I like that quite a bit. And the play, this one's for tomorrow. Again, touch on this a little bit. Krejcikova's got Sabalenka here in the quarterfinal. Neither one of us, it sounds like, is terribly concerned about whatever happened the other day. Again, it looked like it was kind of heat stroke or something like that. She's talking about her stomach and things like that. That's what happens, when you're not hydrated properly. So I think with the day off, she'll have plenty of time to recover. And at plus 160 against Aryna Sabalenka, I have this match pretty close to a coin flip. I mean, I would have Sabalenka favored here. She's generally been the better player over the last year, 2 years, has been playing great this week. But I mean, does Krejcikova being plus 160 make sense to you, Spread? Would you have her this big of a dog in this spot?
Yeah, I mean, it makes sense to me from the perspective that how much money have bettors won back in Sabalenka. So it just seems that there is a lot of just good feeling or Pavlovian response. And when I push Sabalenka, I get money back, right? She obviously is going to be the big hitter, big power. She's more fun to back, probably more fun to watch play as well. But Krejcikova, if she's able to get the ball in play, she can get Sabalenka into that zone because it hasn't been as bad lately, right? But we used to always talk about how she was always good for about like these 3 or 4 game like little lulls where she would lose concentration or just get overly frustrated with herself after one mistake. And then Krejcikova could be able to take advantage of that. I think you're right. I think Sabalenka should be a slight favorite, but I'm surprised. I would have had this line, with Krejcikova about plus 110, plus 115. So I think you're getting great value here, and I have to agree with your play at the number they posted.
All right, that's enough tennis. Thought we'd jump into some NBA. Again, we don't have lines yet, folks, but the futures markets are open. And Spread, you did a really nice write-up here on MVP, but when you wrote this article, you spent a lot of time talking about the name we see here at the top of board, Mr. Luka Doncic, but you admitted to me the other day that maybe there was another name in the MVP market you had circled and were having some second thoughts about Mr. Doncic because of.
Yeah, so Luka Doncic, right? MVP candidate. But then you look at the odds, and they definitely reflect that. They've taken all the value away. Reasons to make the argument for Luka. He's obviously going to get a ton more usage than Kevin Durant. And I think that one thing's going to be interesting when looking at the Maverick season that people are overlooking is how players sometimes look after the second year of their injury. If Porzingis comes back, and gets that little bit of a boost and a leap, then this team could definitely jump in there. But we've talked about it before. This is a regular season award, and you need to be on a very good team to win it. It's very rare that, the 8th seed's going to win the MVP here. So he's going to need Porzingis, or he's going to need another big trade to scoop him in there. I don't know if I really want to count on that at plus 375. When we're looking at the next game, Kevin Durant, I know that when you went over your regular season win totals, you had them as you projected them to be the highest winning team in the league, right? So you take that narrative, you take the visual narrative, because we know that voters do this, right? Last year's playoffs matters in this year's MVP race. As much as it's not supposed to, right? It still doesn't matter in our mind. And I don't think there's anyone that really watches basketball as intently as you and I that didn't feel like that Kevin Durant ended the season as the best player in the world last year. And as awesome as Giannis' story was, and you know that I'm a big Giannis fan, I love his attitude and just how much fun he has in life and the way that he approached getting that championship. Kevin Durant was still a better basketball player here. I'm getting almost twice the odds for who I consider to be a better basketball player. I think Kevin Durant's the best value on the board right now.
I like that quite a bit. And we have a special surprise for everybody. I know that it is Monday. I know that it's Labor Day, but you are our guest, and we don't really have days anymore now that we all live inside. It's an early win total Wednesday. We'll be touching back before, of course, special thanks to our friends, our sponsor. We couldn't do it without, we might be able to do it without, but we love them. WinBet, make sure that if you're in one of the states that has WinBet, sign up. You get a free $500 bet up to a risk-free $1,000 bet if you're in Michigan. A handful of states, make sure you use the links. You can find them on our Twitter page and just about everywhere. Again, helps us out, helps you out. It's a risk-free $500 bet. They're quite a bit of fun, and there were some good tennis bets there. I think any of those underdogs would be a good choice for our risk-free bet. But our friends at WinBet, we've got some win totals. Again, NBA season getting ever closer, and there were 3 that stuck out to you, Spread. We'll start with the Houston Rockets here. You like them to win more than 26.5 games. A team that kind of tore things down last year, has a lot of rookies, a real kind of rebuild feel, but you're not worried about that. You're not worried about the loaded Western Conference. Where does all this Houston optimism coming from?
Offense. I love this team. They are going to score a lot of points, right? I mean, I think they're going to be like, how we have these over teams like the Atlanta Hawks were for us a couple years ago. I think the Houston Rockets are going to be this team this year. Are they going to have problems defending? Yes, but number one, they're going to get overlooked by a lot of teams because, like you said, the West is a juggernaut. Secondly, it's kind of weird how this home court advantage is working now. I tend to think that teams in these wide open states are going to have a better home court advantage. And going to Houston is going to be a lot of fun for these NBA players. So in my little model, I actually boosted up Texas teams and Florida teams, and I actually downgraded my home court for New York and California, as we're still living under a lot more restrictions than they are out there in Texas and Florida. But back to the basketball here, I just love the way this team's going to be able to score. I think Jalen Green was a fantastic draft pick. I think he's going to have an argument for me in one of the best player coming out of the draft. I think that he will rival Cade Cunningham in terms of ability and an impact on his team. And then you know that I love the second round pick, or the second pick that they made at number 16 in Alperen Şengün, who I just think is a fantastic
Would have been
scorer.
your number one pick, I think.
It would have, and that's probably a little hyperbole. But regardless, to get him at 16 and to pair him with Jalen Green, Kevin Porter, and Christian Wood, I just love the way this team's going to be able to score. Are they going to be able to stop anyone? No, but our team's going to be so tired or overlook them that they're able to get 27 out of 82 wins. I believe so. So I like the Houston Rockets here to have like a nice little bounce back season, put themselves back on the map, and really, as a Sacramento fan who's been watching a 15-year rebuild, I'm so impressed that they're able to rebuild this team this well, this quickly.
I do like a lot of the talent they have. I had them right around 26 wins myself. I think overall my concern is you're looking at a team that last year very clearly kind of shut things down early. And not that they're going to do that again this year, but I wonder if we're going to see John Wall play as many games as he can play. We'll see what they do with a guy like Christian Wood. I think it is a lot of nice young pieces coming together, but they're in a tough Western Conference where it is not only really talented at the top, I think it's really deep. I think even a team like your Sacramento Kings is just going to be too talented for a team like this Rockets team every night. I forget if you guys play the Rockets 3 times or 4 times, but I would think your Sacramento Kings win at least 2, if not 3 of those games. It's overall, there's just so much talent there. I'm not sure if they're going to get there, but it is a really low number, and I'm not going to bet an under, that's for sure. So I can't talk you necessarily out of the over. Another over here, the San Antonio Spurs. You believe in Popovich, over 28.5 wins. Let me see. Where did I have them? I had them a little bit less than that. I had them at 29. I had them half a game over. So I guess I agree with you here. What is your thinking here? Again, going for another kind of underdog in the West.
Yeah, I think that this is another great spot. Look at all these young players and look at the ability they're going to get to develop under one of the best coaches of all time here. We got DeJounte Murray here, and I know people are going to be concerned with the loss of DeMar DeRozan, but I don't know if this necessarily hurts this team that badly. I think for this Spurs team to be good, they need to get back to their true identity, and that's really a defensive juggernaut that can score. And, I know that, and this was going to go right into, the next play, the Bulls play. But DeRozan, as good as he was and as fun as he was to have at the end of the game, I think that his late shot making, especially with the emergence of younger players such as Derek White and DeJounte Murray, Devin Vassell, is going to be easily mitigated. And then you're going to get a plus on the defensive end. I like the fact that this team got younger. I'm not betting against the Coach Pop team. We talked about the Rockets shutting it down. We know the Spurs aren't going to shut it down, right? So, even if I'm within striking distance of the last month, I don't have to worry about the complete tank job going against San Diego in San Antonio, because they do not believe in that at all. They believe in a winning culture and a winning system, and they're going to go for it till the very end. So I like the Spurs. I think they're going to get like at least 32 wins there. So that was my biggest edge I had on all the regular season win totals.
Yeah, that's another team. I think I'm going to look to bet them game to game instead of getting involved in some of this stuff. There's just such a dearth of talent on that team. Again, I don't know how, even they go up against a team like your Kings. That's a pretty even matchup to me at this point. I might even have your Kings favored, obviously depending on where the location is, but that number seemed just about right to me. I'll probably look to back the Spurs game to game instead of backing them in this market. But a team that I did actually back earlier to make the playoffs at, I think it was plus 200. Now it's like at even money or something. So hooray for me. But you like the Bulls under 42.5. You see them being at best a 500 basketball team. What do you think about Chicago?
Yeah, right. We were all excited about Chicago when they added Vukovic at the end of the season, right? They said, they're going for it, right? And they still couldn't make the playoffs, ended up shipping off a pick there. Then I like the addition of Lonzo. I like the addition of Caruso, right? I'm like, okay, this team's heading in the right direction. And then the addition of DeMar DeRozan was just puzzling to me. I mean, Now you're going to have 3 minus defenders on the floor at the end of the game. You're going to have Zach LaVine, DeMar DeRozan, and Vukovic. It just seems that in a growing talented Eastern Division, right? I mean, we used to just laugh, or the Eastern Conference. We used to laugh at the Eastern Conference, right? They're definitely just as good, and at the top, they might be better than the West here. I just think that there's a lot of optimism on this team because of the big name addictions, but really, most teams are built the right way, and I don't think that adding DeRozan and Lonzo Ball improves this team that much. I still don't understand how they're going to get stops at the end of the game. Yes, DeRozan will give you some nice shot making there towards the end. How does that affect Levine? How does that affect the chemistry? It's going to be real interesting to see. I don't know if I necessarily believe in what this front office is doing, and we'll see how Billy Donovan does. I've never considered him to be anything more than an average coach here, and going in the Eastern Conference, which is just improving year by year. I just don't see how they get to be above 500.
I had them right around 500, leaning slightly over. I was actually a little more optimistic about some of their additions. I thought adding Lonzo Ball and specifically Alex Caruso, I thought was a pretty underrated addition there. Those are two guys. They're going to add some defense. They're going to add a leadership to this team. Yes, DeMar DeRozan isn't what you're looking for in today's NBA, but again, I think he's going to be a good presence in this locker room. I don't think he's going to be a problem. Coming off being somebody else to come off the bench. I think he's actually going to like that kind of microwave role where he's just going to come in, get to score some points when LaVine comes off the floor. I'm curious to see what Patrick Williams can do in his second year. I like that they actually moved on from Lauri Markkanen. I was a little concerned, and again, it's weird to talk about somebody like Thaddeus Young this way, that they let him go. I thought that he was a really nice piece on this team, but I see Zach LaVine, I see Vukovic, then I've got Williams, I've got Lonzo Ball, I've got Caruso. We'll see if Kobe White can be comfortable kind of getting pushed back to the bench and stuff like this. I think overall, and just looking at a solid team that I think is going to put up a lot of points every night and just has the kind of guard depth that I think you're really going to want in the league this year. So 42.5, again, I think I had them just a touch over 42.5, actually right on 42. So a pretty solid number to me, but I think this team, kind of their top level expectations could be pretty good. And I think that's why I backed them to make the playoffs instead of looking at something like this. If everything goes right, I think you're looking at a top 6 to 8 seed in the East. Maybe they do end up in the play-in scenario, but I think night to night, this team is going to put up a lot of points and has, the advantage from a guard perspective, which I think each season we learn more and more is really what matters.
Yeah, it's becoming more like the NCAA when we were younger, right? When it was just all that mattered was guard play going into the tournament. The NBA is definitely getting it like that. I do agree with you. They're going to score a lot of points. It's just how many points do they give up? And I just think there's going to be so many plus matchups for opposing coaches to attack at the end of close games. I'm really going to be interested to see how well the Bulls do in games that are decided by 5 points or less. That will obviously, it will be for a lot of teams, right? But especially for this team. It's going to dictate, whether or not this regular season win total goes over or under.
Well, a jam-packed full win total Wednesday here on a Labor Day Monday. Again, thanks to our sponsors, WinBet. Again, make sure you sign up. It's football season's coming. You got to get in there, get yourself set up. We'll be sure to get you a good risk-free bet in that week one there. And also, of course, it is Labor Day, and we wanted to talk about our other sponsor. It's a great day for this, although I couldn't get Spread to figure out. It is apparently legal in California, but again, Spread's a little bit of an older guy. He struggles with some of the technology stuff. So take a look at PrizePicks. If you're unfamiliar, we've talked about it on the show a handful of times. It's a great way to put together kind of a bunch of fantasy props into an entry. You can pick anywhere between 2 and 5 players. Again, Andy has been doing things. You've seen him put baseball together with golf. Today could be a good day. Take a tennis player, put it together with one of those baseball players we don't know anything about. It's a lot of fun. You pick together, again, a couple props, put them all together. If you use code BBB when you sign up, you get an instant deposit bonus up to $100. It's quite a bit of fun, and it's a good day for that. Thank you very much, Spread, for joining us. It has been a jam-packed Brown Bag Bets. We'll be back tomorrow. Andy will be back. In preparation for that, folks, go leave us some nice reviews. Give us some thumbs up on YouTube. It'll make Andy nice and happy when he comes back on Tuesday. So thank you very much, Spread. You can find all of his stuff there at Spread Astaire on Twitter. Anything else you want to touch on quickly here before we wrap it?
No, just want to say thanks for having me on, and I hope everyone has a great Labor Day.
Absolutely, everybody. Get out there, grill some meat, drink some beer, have yourself a good time, and we'll be back tomorrow.